Good morning, everybody. This is the second day of the training um, about the fantastic BMS platform solution from NETx Automation. And in this first 2 minutes, what I'm going to do is just review what we did yesterday, because it's important to understand what do we have for this starting point to use in this second journey and this next sessions. Yesterday, if you remember, we started to integrate data points from different protocols and different technologies. So we did from KNX. As you may remember, we integrate this importing some files from the ETS project we had. So what we got at the end was the same structure in terms of data points, group addresses, and individual addresses for every single practical board. In this case, we have 8 practical boards from KNX with exactly the same configuration. So this was the first approach to try to organize these items in the proper way, because as we are going to see today, this structure or this organization is very important. It's very important to save time in terms of planning and commissioning of this BMS. So it's the first approach was to create a small project, but implement this 8 times in our KNX driver here in our BMS Core Studio. That was the tool that we saw yesterday. Then we also implemented the BACnet devices. So we had 2 examples of BACnet device here. Okay, one BACnet Bago driver with inputs, outputs. It was really simple to do it because it was automatic. And then KNX, we said integration from KNX is semi-automatic because we had to export from ETS and then import here, but it was really easy to do. When then we had some tables to handle this, for example, the Telegram definitions, as you may remember, it's very
Julio, we have a bit of audio issue.
so we can.
Yes, now it is back to normal again.
Sorry for this. I will try to do this switching between inputs to try to improve it, but I don't know
Now
why.
it is good.
Okay. So I was just reviewing that we had a lot of data points from KNX, and these data points have to be slightly modified maybe or reviewed about the data type if it's not correctly configured in the KNX part, in the ETS part. And also very important for us, this column read on reconnect. So this is the way we have to make the BMS be able to connect to these field devices and recover the information from the very beginning of the BMS studio transient for when the BMS starts. So it's very important to do the random reconnect. So this was a KNX most important things to do. And in terms of BACnet, again, we have normally devices and objects. Okay, we didn't have enough time to explain everything, but a slight view of what we have to do to integrate these protocols was explained yesterday. So we have a lot of data points, but the problem we faced was, okay, this data point has an item ID. So how to do this mix of KNX and BACnet, for example, for the same room in an office or hotel or whatever. So then we explain how to organize everything into the aliases. So this was the last thing we explained, was to use the alias management. It was a first approach because there is a second one, is to use virtual items. But there was a slight difference between aliases and virtual. because aliases are totally free of cost. So aliases is just a representation of the items with the name and the structure and order you may want to use. So in this case, we had different things from every single room, mixing KNX and BACnet in this case. And this was the last thing we explain is, okay, at the end, we will have a lot of data points, but all of them are items in the same tree. So it's very important for us to understand that we can use it anywhere and anytime with several tools that we have to take advantage of this configuration of all these data points. So we can use it in our logics. We can define alarms using whatever element. We can define graphical representation using all these items. Anything can be done. And as I used to say, these items, KNX, BACnet, or maybe property management systems like Fidelio, Oracle Fidelio for hotel management, or door lock systems, or whatever other drivers we may integrate, like MQTT, for example, or SNMP, or even HTTP. You may remember also we did integration about weather information. This was just an example from API coming from the internet. So everything was possible to integrate in the BMS, but all these items are exactly the same, has the same possibilities inside the BMS. All these items are integrated. So today is time to take advantage of this integration using the web manager. So this is the first thing to do, is to talk about web manager. That is a very important part of the BMS platform, because okay, we have a lot of data points, but we need to do things with them. For example, supervise with alarms or with conditional events, or maybe we need to do some calendars, or maybe we want to historize data inside the MySQL instance database. All these things are possible using the web manager. So we have data points, and now we are going to go to this web manager. That there is a direct button here in the BMS Core Studio, but also we have okay, this is the web manager, but I want to show to you how to open it. There is an icon in the after you install the BMS, so you can see it was an icon for the Core Studio. That was the tool that we have been using all day yesterday. And now to open the web manager is just double click, and then we should have in the browser a page like this. Okay, let me close this window because I want to open it again from the Core Studio. This is the typical situation. We have the Core Studio, then we press this and we open the web manager. But normally we have to be logged in. So you will have this prompt screen. Put the user and password. So it's in Spanish because of my browser, not because of the BMS. User and password. So there is only one user by default. This is very important also, a concept to understand. You can define any number of users with different profiles, with different permissions for everything. So for any kind of app we will see, like alarms or schedules or trends or reports, you can give permissions or not to every single user. But there is one profile that is called super admin, super administrator, and this profile has every of the rights, all the permissions, and there is only one user by default in the BMS. So this user is admin, okay, and the password I will show you here. The password is by default change me, okay. It's not a joke. This is the password for you to remember. Okay, please change me, because it's important to have a good password for the super admin profile. So this is by default change me. So I will write this password here. login, and then you have access to every of the apps you may have installed. Okay, so as you can see here, we will see alarms, we can have schedulers. So I would also say events, event generator. Events means time events. This is what we normally call a schedule, time events. But also here we can do conditional events that are very important for an integrator. The typical if this then do that, and it's really powerful and really simple to do these kind of things. Trendings is very important also to historize information. So we will see how to do these trendings. And visualization management, for example, if you create a visualization like we will do today and at the end of the sessions, or even tomorrow, that is the most important part for tomorrow, we have a place, the Explorer, where we can find everything inside. So it's Explorer is normally used to export and import configurations from other projects. And also very important, we have templates. We can do massive work very easy. And this is also one objective for today, to explain to you how to do a template, for example, to create 48 alarms in one shot, for example. So we will do these kind of examples. We will see also the metering app in the second session. So not for now, because now we will be focusing on trendings, alarms, maybe schedules, and so. Reporting is also a very important app for us, where we will see, for example, combining the lamps module for DALI management and lighting control systems. With the reporting, you will have automatic reports or possibility to create automatic reports about your DALI systems, for example. Then we have the diagnosis that is also very interesting because it's a web access to the server. So it could be remote access also. So you can access to a diagnosis of the server by web. So you don't have to get access directly to the computer where the server is installed, because if you have the login, the permission, you can do this diagnosis and access to the item tree and access to whatever log file or all these things. Visualization also, you can access to your project, visualization projects directly here. And the guest room management system, if you have this app installed, it's also possible to access directly to this app. So even more apps can be seen here. For example, the shutter control systems for complex projects, but in a simple BMS installation, this app is not here because it's for special things. But this is open to incorporate different kind of apps in the future. Maybe we will see more, but with all these tools, we will be able to manage a lot of things necessary in the project. So it's very important part, because this is complementing our first tool we saw yesterday, the Core Studio. And as a resume, we have a lot of data points, but we need to do things with these data points. And management is one of the most important things in a project. So when we can complement our projects with management, this make or is giving sense to our solution. It's giving a global vision of a project with this kind of tools. So let me start with an example. I will not start with alarms, if you don't mind. I will start doing some trending examples, okay? So trending is this app. Every app has different colors because it's interesting for us to recognize this where we are. So if I press trending, I see a specific dashboard to create or to add whatever. So I can add a chart, folders, for example, or trendings. Important to distinguish. I will create a folder, if you don't mind, for tests. Okay, folder is empty now. And then inside this folder, I will create a trending. It's important to understand this. We need data. So we need to define how to historize this data. And this is done here with trendings. I cannot create a chart for comparing different values, for example, if I don't have the trendings of these values. So it's important to first create the trending, and then maybe we can create a chart comparing values or whatever. So I will create first the trending, And then I have this dialog to say, okay, what do you want to do? For example, I will create a trending for the external temperature. It means temperature outside. For example, what is the item for this? To get data. Okay, we have an item. If you remember, this item was from HTTP, weather, and we have temperature. And this is the item I will select. Very simple, from weather. And this, very important, what to historize. What to historize is also important. All the data, an average of data. So if you select average, you will have time for this, an interval for this. So this means that I will historize only one value per 15 minutes, for example. Only one value. So it will take all the values coming from the web and take only one value every 15 minutes. And this is very important to understand because I had a configuration yesterday, maybe you don't remember, but I had a configuration where I only ask for this data every 15 minutes. So makes sense to take data every 15 minutes, because if you take data every minute, for example, and the data that are coming is exactly the same all this time, I will historize 15 times the same data. So it makes nonsense. So it has to be coordinated with the information that is coming also from KNX. So if I have a thermostat or a temperature sensor that is sending every 5 minutes the temperature, it's totally nonsense to historize every minute this value in the BMS, because it will be the same value 5 times. So it has to be coordinated with the information that is coming to the BMS. So for example, it could be select all data, because I will have only one data every 15 minutes, for example. But there are several possibilities. You can select, okay, all data is good for me because I know that there are not so much information coming. But take care with this, because maybe in other cases you will have a lot of information coming every second, for example, and you are not interested to historize every second, because the database will be filled faster and faster. So you will get a lot of information unnecessarily. So all is a good average. It's possible only if the value change. This is COV, means change on value. A delta, maximum values, minimums, and pulses and samplings are for metering, for example. But in this case, as temperature, could be nice, this all. Maximum age in days is also possible to define. So say, okay, please, only the last 8 days, no more information is needed in my case. So you can define here. You can apply scaling directly. So you can multiply or divide. Divide is multiply by 0.1, for example, is divide by 10, but normally it's not necessary this scaling and a value. But okay, imagine that you get from Modbus a value that is in integer format, but you know that there is a scaling of 100 times. So for example, you get the voltage, instead of 230 volts, you get the value 23,000. So maybe you can apply scaling here, so the data you are going to historize and represent will be the right one, the value divided by 100. So this is for these needs. Also important for consistency of the data, minimum and maximum validation. So this is also very important, because if you have strange values coming from the field, maybe, for example, the temperature. So temperature, outside temperature normally is not higher than 55 degrees in the hottest country in the world, and no less than minus 50 degrees, for example. So you can put here, okay, I will not historize values outside of this range, because if I get by mistake 3000 degrees, for example, this data will not be integrated. So my graphic, my chart will not be strange. It will be normal. This kind of things is also very interesting to understand. Okay, so not necessary here, but also time program. I say, okay, do this trending only after next Sunday. So it's just for testing. I don't want to get data outside of this time. So all these things are possible to configure in this trending definition. The chart can be a line, can be an area, spline area. You can check and test what to do. It's important also the range, but this is dynamic. So you can select here day, for example, but you can represent at the end whatever range. So you can represent the last month, the current month, the last year, or whatever. If you have enough data, it will be there. The color also is interesting to select a color for temperature, for example, like this. And maybe you can add the labels, but normally in a chart you have some axes, no, to define or that helps to understand the values. How many decimals, 1, 2, whatever, and the y-axis scaling, for example, dynamic is okay, normally, Celsius degrees. And aggregation means that you will see not all the data, but only a representation, a resume of the data, because sometimes you will have a lot of information in a chart. So this can be maybe reduced or simplified with this tag aggregation. I will deselect aggregation because I want to see every data now. But this is also possible to, on the fly, change. It can be changed. So I save this, but also see, look that we have enabled this trending. It's possible to enable or disable. You can define even dynamically, no, to enable or disable this temperature historizing. So if you want to show the plot, just put this or press this value, and you can get, we have one value now, for example, 19.9 degrees. That's not bad temperature for this hour of the day, but we have one value, and every single values we may have here will be represented. Maybe we can go back here in 3 hours to see some evolution of this temperature, but now we only have one. But it's good to see this chart. First, because this trending can be represented, of course, in the visualization. So we can get this frame and trigger from the visualization, okay, I want to see this trending. So you can press a button, then you get a new screen with this chart. So you don't have to come to the web manager, log in the web manager, come to this folder and see this trending here. It can be done in the visualization. So this is very important. Also very important, you can export this plot as a PNG or JPEG or PDF file or SVG file. But very important, you can change from plot to table. So you can see also the value in a table, and you can export to Excel directly from here. Even if you are using a tablet, for example, or a smartphone or whatever, it's possible to do this. So this is very interesting. And of course, the representation can be changed from daily to weekly to monthly to yearly or customized. Okay, show me only today from 6 to 7 or whatever. So it's possible to change this. So dynamically, the color can be changed, etc. So all these things are possible to do. And you can also select, okay, show me the labels or not. So that's very interesting for a trending. But remember, we have in our BMS, and I will show you from here because it's possible, in diagnosis, I have my item tree. So it's possible for me to show you or to remind you that we have in my aliases, because we are connected to the BMS, the Core Studio, in my aliases, we have rooms, and one item is the temperature of each room. This is coming from KNX, okay? With the, remember, properties. All these things are exactly the same that you see here, if I show you my aliases, my room, and my temperature, you will get exactly the same information from here. But the difference is that we are accessing here from a web browser and could be done remotely, because the URL will be, instead of localhost, just the IP of my server. So it's very simple to identify which is the IP of my server. I can do it with command window from my computer, but also here with a backnet driver configuration, because you may remember when we did the scanning, it was prompted a message, localhost is not valid. You have to select the IP of the device that will recognize or will scan the networking magnet. So we have possibility to see what is, if you have only one, IP address of your computer, of your BMS server. So this is the IP. So, okay, if you put this IP address, what is the server address, in this URL, it will be possible to access to this BMS remotely. You have to log in, but it's possible. So remotely, we know that we have different temperatures in every room. Every room will have a temperature, okay? And the only difference for these items is, because you may remember, item path, okay? So let me open a Word file again, empty Word file.
Julio, your audio went bad again.
Okay, now it's good.
Now back to normal again. Yes.
So for this, yeah. Please remind me every time, but
I will. Yes, I will. I'll be, because you can't realize it. I'm here. No worries. Please
okay,
continue.
thank you. So I was telling you, the only difference for the temperature data point from every single room is this, distinguishing the floor and the room number. So this was done in our item structure using the alias. No? So for example, for this room, I copy item path and I show you that the only thing that changed is this, or the floor number or the room number. See, this is the only thing that changed. So I will show you now a nice concept, the template concept. So I would like to create trendings, but not 8 trendings for the 8 temperatures, but only once to do this configuration. So instead of creating a folder for trendings and then a trending for each room, I will create a template and then use this template to incorporate all these trendings in one shot. So first approach for template will be this. So I will open now templates, okay? And then you can see a floating window here about variables, okay? And I will show you what does it means. We can create templates for many different things. For alarms, I will do afterwards a second example, or for a calendar, start-stop time event is like a calendar. So at 5 a.m. we turn on the lights, and 9 a.m. we turn off the lights, or whatever. Or one-time event, okay, please turn off the external lights at 6 a.m., for example. Or cyclically, you can do this every 15 minutes, do this. Or conditional, is not time event, but if this condition occurs, then execute this action, or in plural, these actions. Okay, so condition can be complex and action can be multiple. So it's really, really powerful, this conditional event. Or we can create a trending. That this is the thing that I'm going to do. Also, many other things. We can create different resources for the metering points, cost centers. This is just for metering, okay? Or we can create massively hotel rooms, for example, for the GRMS app. But in this case, it's a trending what we have to create. Okay, so template, name for the template That's not the problem. Temperatures, or more exactly, room temperatures. This is the name for the template. But this is very important, the path extension. This means which folder you want to create, which name you want to give to the folders, etc. So imagine that I want to create, for example, a folder with number 03 trendings, okay, backslash, and then one folder per room, for example, or just trendings for temperatures. And then per room. So to create folders, one folder per room, then I need to create a variable because I have different floors and different rooms. So variables, for example, for the floor could be named, for example, this way, floor, inside keys, floor. To simplify, instead of doing this, floor or and room number, instead of floor and room, you can define just F or R. For us, it's the same. And then if you do this between keys, you have here these variables, F and R, for means floor number and room number, for example. So you will see that using this kind of variables, we can do it. We can create any kind of trendings, but the process has to continue. So name for my trending, okay, this is temperature at room number 0101, 0102, 0201, whatever, but using variables is bling, bling. Click on these variables and then you fill this. No description necessary. And now the item, okay, an item, I will select one of the items, it doesn't mind. Temperature. And then this item is for the room 0101. But we know that any single room has a variable number for the floor and number for the room. So we can substitute this for F and R variables. So this means that it is generic. Okay. And then the rest of the things, what to do with the type of all data, for example, is maybe massive. So maybe give me an average every, for example, 5 minutes. I know that we get data from the thermostats every 5 minutes. So, and the same for the rest of the configurations we have seen before. So now just Celsius degrees, no aggregation, for example, and that's it. This schedule at full hour means that, okay, I don't start recording exactly when I press the save button. I will wait until it's 5:40, 5:45, 5:50 a.m. and etc. So it doesn't matter. This is not, in my opinion, not relevant, but you can select if you want this or not option. Okay, this is my template. I have created my template. I just save. And now for you to understand what to do with this template, let's go for the trending. Okay. So what I'm going to do is not to add anything, but to apply template. This is the second option. So I can apply a template. Let me press this button. The only template is room temperatures. Okay. And of course, we need to give information about the number for floors and the number for rooms. And this is done in Excel file. So to create my 8 trendings, I have 8 rooms, 0101, 0102, up to 0402. So we have to give numbers to this. Okay, I need a Excel template, so I can export this Excel template. This is the first step here to get this room temperatures file. I will open it. I get this file, and then what I have to do is to fill this with values. So floor F, it will be 01. So I have to put this, but not this hyphen, this one, 01, and room 01, floor 01, and room 02. You see? Okay. Now copy pasting room, 02. This will be floor, 03. This is very fast to do. And floor 04, and this, the number of the rooms are the same. So copy paste here and copy paste here. So this is the 8 number of floors and rooms I will have. I just have to close saving, and then I select the file with the values, selecting the file with this definition. So it's in here, I think, yes, room temperatures. Then I get these values here, and I'm just importing the template with values. So I have added 8 trending definitions. Let's check. Close here. With the folder trendings, folder temperatures, one folder per each room, and the name of every single definition here. And of course, my data. And look, the item gets also values, different values, and it's exactly what I need. So I can select to show you plot. Well, should wait some time to get data from my field devices. Let me check if I am online or in simulation. I am online, so it's not a problem. It's just to get this information every single whatever minutes. So now I think I have one data for 0101, so I will check. Okay. Should come. Because, okay, I understand why. Because the definition was scheduled at 4 hours, so I will not get instant data. It will be waiting until 5:45 to show it to me because of this. Okay, no problem. I will come back in a few minutes. But the most important thing is for you to understand is, okay, I have this. Maybe you don't like this organization per room. It makes nonsense to get all these folders here. It's good for me to get temperatures all together here. It's possible to change this. I can delete these definitions, or maybe just move. It's not a problem. If it's good for you, you can drag and drop. And then you don't have to redefine the template or re-import, because if you do it tomorrow, you will lose the data for today. So it's just move if you don't want all this folder structure. But it can be also done redefining, as I will show you, redefining the, now this can be, let me check. We can delete the folders, empty folders on the fly. It's very easy. So I repeat, if you want to do this instead of working so much, redefining the template is very simple. It's just go to template, room temperatures, and just delete this part. Save and apply the template again. So if you go here and you apply template, you have the file already with values, and you will be not creating but updating. Okay, this is the difference. You're not adding but updating. But the result is exactly what we had before. So this is the way you can do this. Do we have data? Not yet, in a few seconds. Okay, so this was the first approach for a trending definition and alarm definition. But trendings, let me show you the last thing, was not the only thing we could do. We could also create a chart. So what is a chart? Let me create one chart. For example, a chart is an element that can use the trendings that you have for comparing, for example, with the same time line, different values. I can compare the external temperature and the room 0101 temperature, for example. So to do this, temperature comparison, external or outside versus room 0101, for example. So chart type normal, I will come here in the next example. Normal one, default range day, for example, but it doesn't mind. No aggregation, please. And what are the trendings? Okay, I can select here my trendings. This trending will be external temperature. Okay. And the other to compare with is here and here. This one. Okay. And I will compare both. Save. And I have my chart here that I can show. Okay. Now I have here this and external temperature. And you can also unselect or select. Again, could be a table. Or could be a plot. Okay, you have comparison, two values here, one value here. It's possible to use labels, and you have, okay, not so many data to show, but this is a comparison of these two values here. And you can say, okay, don't show me the external, or show me only the external, or show me both. That's dynamically we can select. This is very interesting. And another kind of chart I will show you now is outside temperature comparing today with yesterday value, for example. So this chart type will be period comparison, not normal, and the trending will be the same, external in both cases, external, but offset is defined here -1. So this means yesterday. If you want to compare 2 days, you add -2 with the same temperature or whatever. So you can do this kind of charts also very easy. Saving, and of course I will not have any data about yesterday, but as you can see, you can compare external temperature -1 days or -1 week. So this is dynamically changed. Okay, this is very interesting because this time range is also possible to be seen here. Okay, so about trendings, everything has been explained. So let me show you how to create an alarm, for example. So let's go to alarm. As you can see here, nothing appears if I show you the temperatures folder because it's not in the same app. They are not in the same app. So your folder organization is important also. So, okay, I will not see any trending here. So they will be in different folders. There are no anything to see in the test file. Okay, it's understandable. The only app you can see everything will be in Explorer, but I will show you afterwards. So let me create one alarm to show you this, one example. So to create alarms, because this is the alarm list part, so the alarm app has two parts, alarm list and configurations. So to create one example of alarm, okay, I can create here actions, alarms, conditions, or folder. Okay, I will just create a folder inside test for alarm example. That's mine. One folder here, and here I will create my alarm. Okay. So there is a question, interesting question from Alexander. We can compare different trending values and if it's above some value or whatever. Yes, but you have to do this as a conditional event. So this, if today power is 10% above average, for example, this has to be done in with a virtual item, for example. The trending is just representing values. And so if you need a threshold and compare this value with another, you have to do this with a conditional event, and then you can trigger an action of that, or just an alarm. So this is possible, but not based on the trending. It's based on the value that you are monitoring. So you have to do this logic and create an item that is that average, or an item that is the difference between this and that. And then if this value is above limit, then yes, you can trigger an alarm. But this condition has to be done before, because the trending is just historizing, and it makes nonsense, in my opinion, to get value from the database calculated by the BMS. You can do it in advance and just monitor this. So the BMS is really powerful to do this kind of whatever comparison. Normally a chart is just representing these differences. But if you want the average, or if you want the difference or calculation, just do this in a specific item, and just monitor if this value is above or below a threshold, and then the alarm will be will be done this way. So, and this is now linked to the example. The average is calculated. You can do it with an X command, for example, or with Lua scripting or whatever. It's not complicated to do to get the average of different values, and then to create a condition is also easy. So I will show you how to create a condition now. So let me create an example of alarm. Imagine that we are monitoring a temperature, for example. So name is alarm by alarm for excessive temperature, for example. Priority could be high, medium, low, or info. This is just a way to classify your alarms. So you define, for example, this is a medium one, and then we need a condition. We haven't created a condition, but it's not a problem. We can do it on the fly. So this button is to select a condition, but if you don't have it, you can do it now. I can create a condition that is here, for example, temperature at room 0101 higher than, okay. More than or less than. Let me check what is the value, because it's interesting for me to see. The value now is 23.4. Okay, so higher than 23, for example. Okay, higher than 23. Here, wet manager. Okay, this is higher than a specific limit, because this limit can also be a variable if necessary, or can be defined as an item. Logic operation, I will explain now, because it could be a complex comparison. So it could be different things that has to be met. So this is the reason why we have an AND, a negative AND, or a negative OR. So it could be all these conditions have to be met. So not only one, but could be several. For example, the temperature is higher than 23, but it's raining outside, or there is a presence in the room, or it's the night time, or whatever. So this can be also add here as several conditions. But in this case, I will just add one. So it could be a comparison, typical equals greater, equal, lesser equal, or not equal. So in this case, greater or equal, for example, for us. And then, of course, we need a value and a reference, an input item to observe. So will be this value. I am creating a single example, not a template. Okay, it's just this, and a value. It could be a number or an item ID to observe what is the reference, because you can change the reference temperature in this item, and call this item reference temperature, for example. For this is for this we have the virtual items. This is the one part of the answer to you, Alexander. So how to collect the average value, and where we keep it in a virtual item. Of course, to do it is the BMS is prepared for all these things. So, but in this case, I will just put here a number 23, and that's it. This is my comparison. If this item value is higher than this reference, I will get an alarm. So I save this condition, and I select this as the condition, so because I was just trying to select the condition. Then, as an option, and I repeat, this is an option, it's not necessary, we can also trigger actions. For example, send me a Telegram message, or for example, turn on a ventilator. So it could be whatever. Send me an email, send me a Telegram, turn on a ventilator, or just turn on a flashlight, whatever. So we can communicate with the rest of the items with actions, okay? But I will not define any action, because an alarm has its own nature. If this condition met, if this condition is true, then I get the alarm. And this has its own nature. So single shot is just to consider the first time this is coming is the time of the alarm. And if I don't select a single shot, maybe the alarm arises, vanishes, arises again. So it's the last time this is considered. Every time it comes is an alarm or not. And time program is because, okay, this is just from 9 to 5. If it's outside of this time, for example, it will be not considered an alarm, because I only want to monitor this from 9 to 5, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., for example. This is also possible. And also selecting a recurrence weekly, only from, you select weekly, only from Monday to Friday, for example, and not in August because we're on holiday or whatever. So you can define these kind of things. So it's interesting. And this is very interesting, because normally you are thinking on creating this complex comparison inside the condition. And this is not necessary. You can do it outside this. So the condition can be very simple, and then you can include this time program for this alarm definition. So just saving, and you will see that this alarm will be triggered, will be now occurring. But we have to see this here in the alarm list. This alarm is now a new alarm. We can see here that we have an alarm medium priority, but also we can see here in the Core Studio, we have a number of alarms here. Medium priority 1, total 1, and if the alarm is new or not, you can see it here. Okay. I want to open this folder, but it's not answering. Okay, let me show you this here. Diagnosis, module, alarms, count, total and new. What does new alarm means? Okay, I can acknowledge the alarm, so it will not be new because it has been recognized. So this is what it means. If I go here again to my alarm and I say, okay, let me acknowledge or block, suppress. Let me acknowledge it, comment, okay. If I acknowledge it, it's not in the new list, but it's in the old list of alarms because it's still active. Okay, I can suppress the alarm also. Okay, I will ignore it. So you can suppress the alarm for 1 hour, for example, or 2 hours, custom or whatever. You can suppress it, so it's not an alarm now, but everything is in the history. So everything is also being historized in the database. So if you have some comments, you will have it here. So this is very interesting management of the alarms. And I repeat, I didn't create any action for this alarm, but it's also possible. You can create actions for the alarms. So to finish these examples today, I will create a template for alarms. I will create a template for an alarm. And my example will be, okay, imagine I have a lot of lights in my practical boards. I think I have in my alias hall, bath, left, right, bed, and ceiling, 6 lights per room. Okay, I will create a template for this. If one light is on, I get an alarm. It's just an example. It makes nonsense to get an alarm for just a status of a light. But I would just show you how easy it is to create a 48 alarms, 6 times 8, in a few minutes. So this will be the last example. So name alarm for lights, for example. Path extension, okay. Folder 01 alarms, for example. And then I will create here a folder for the lights. And then per room, I will create one folder per room because I have a lot of alarms. So I will create folders per room. Now it's interesting for me to classify this. So again, variable whatever, name for floor, whatever name for room, but I am a bit lazy today, so I just write F and R, room, whatever. Okay, name for my alarm, alarm when light. Okay, there is a different light, so I will create an L variable when light L at room. This is not really necessary because it will be inside a folder specific for the room, but I maybe can insist. And this is the name for my alarm when the light whatever at room whatever is on. Okay, which priority? Okay, low, for example. And what is the condition? Okay, the status of light whatever. Why not? Copy paste. the status of light, whatever room, whatever is on, and then condition like before, but we do this on the fly. Comparison equals an item. Okay, let me check. My items here are in aliases. You may understand now why I insist to use the aliases, because if I select, for example, on off hall, no, status is the right one, status hall, for example, it's just one light. I have hall, bath, left, right, ceiling, and bed. So 6 lights for me. So I select this, but I will substitute this. You have seen this before with my variables. So room and generic room with this floor and room. And instead of hall, as my item IDs has the same structure, I substitute it by the variable. And the value is a Boolean and it's true. This is my comparison. If the status of the light is true, this condition is met. Actions, not now. Tomorrow I will maybe come back here and create some telegram or whatever definitions. And that's it. This is my template. It's very simple. It will be an alarm if the light is on. Okay, I save this. And this is my template. Let me go here and go to alarms and go to configuration of the alarms, not for the list, but for the configuration. And then I can apply my template. Of course, alarm for lights, but I need to define all these things. Okay, so I need my Excel template as did before. Let me open it. And I need to fill all these values, but it takes a bit of time, but not so much. So look, floor 1, room 1, and light hall. Bath, left, right, ceiling and bed. Okay, and these are the same for the floor. This will be the same for the next room, same floor, but second room. Okay, and now I know that I have the same lights here, and these rooms 1 and 2 are the same 4 times. So this here and all these. Maybe there is a faster way to do this, but I don't. Forgive me, please, if you consider that I am slow, but okay. Second floor up to here. Third floor up to here. And the last one. Okay, so I think I have 48 definitions, yes, because I am finishing in the 49th row. The first is for the variable definition. Let's close, saving, and then select my file. Alarm for lights. All these values here, 48 rows. I can import, it's just a bit seconds. 48 alarms and 48 conditions, no actions. And here we have my alarms, classified per rooms, alarms and conditions for different lights. Okay, and what happens if I go to the list? No light is on, so no light is on, but I can solve this very easy. Just going here and going to broadcast me close the studio and open it again. And let me go to my broadcast item to turn on all the lights. Okay, I will open. I'm sending one now. All my lights are on, so you get a lot of alarms here. But it's very interesting because you can filter here. You can see only this room, or only this room, or only this room, or only this alarm. Well, no, it's a folder, so it's just all the things that are inside the folder. And then, of course, we have 48 alarms now live here. So you can see if I turn off, for example, the lights at room 1, for example, I only have 40. Room 1 are off now, so there is no alarms here. It was banished. For example, this alarm is banished because the lights in room 1 are off. But I can also turn off alarms at the second room, because I know I'm doing this. I'm just sending this group address to this IP address. This is the local central off for the second room. So you can see that this is vanished. And if I just send the broadcast order, that is 010, but the 010 is broadcast. I turn off all the lights. So all the lights are vanished and there are no alarms here. And you have your history and so. So it's really easy to use templates for this. So I'm sorry, but we needed a bit more time to explain this, but it's okay. We can, Subhanga, maybe we can pause now 15 minutes for the next
Yes, sure.
thing.
Yes, let's take a break once you're done, and we come back and continue with the next topic
Okay,
after the
so
break.
half past, maybe in 15 minutes, at
In
half
15
past,
minutes.
we can continue.
Yes,
So,
and in the meantime, anybody has questions, please put it in the chat box, and we can start with those questions before the next session.
okay.
Yes, okay.
So
Thank you,
see
Leo.
you in,
We
thank you.
see you all in 15 minutes
Okay, I will pause now
after
the
the break.
recording and then start again. And when we
Thank you.
come back, thanks to
Sure.
all.
Thank you. Thanks, Leo.
Okay, second session of the second day will be focused on the lighting management. It's a very important part for many projects, this lighting management, and we have a special app for doing this job. This is called the lamps module. Lamps module is very well explained in the website, so I will try to open a website, NETx automation website. So here you have this. Okay, so we'll take a look first on this. Let me change language to English, because it's very important for you to take a look on the knowledge base, where you can find a massive amount of information is in our knowledge base. Knowledge base has different sections. One section is about the BMS platform, multi-protocol server. So we will go here, and then we will try to find our LAMPS module. So you can search just LAMPS, for example, and then it's very easy. Go to LAMPS. So as you can see, ABB is present also, very easy. Oh, directly this and this. So these pages are going to be used more or less. Okay, let's go to LAMPS module, and then I will try to explain you. LAMPS module is designed to make the integrator save a lot of time. This is first approach. A lot of time, because when we are using DALI, DALI ballast and DALI lamps has very interesting functionalities. One is, of course, the control of the lights. We are now facing DALI 2 protocol, so there are several gateways. ABB has gateways that are also ready for DALI 2 controls, DALI 2 protocol. There has been an evolution during the last years about DALI technology. The first things we have recently incorporated in our projects is the new ballast like DT8, for example, where you can change the color temperature, for example. You can also integrate the RGBW controls, more sophisticated than before. All these kind of things are really interesting. But there is a second approach about DALI 2. DALI 2 is a new standard that can also integrate sensors and push buttons, for example, in the DALI world. Normally, in our projects, we don't consider to use this kind of elements, because KNX detectors and KNX push buttons are much more we could say much more flexible to integrate, because when you have a DALI sensor, is just for lighting, but when you have a KNX sensor, it could have different layers, different channels, and you can use it for lighting, for HVAC, or for security, or for whatever. So normally in the projects, integrators are still using KNX sensors, KNX push buttons, etc., touch screens or whatever, and DALI is just for drivers, for ballasts. This is one first comment from my side. But it's very important to understand that DALI technology, even in the past, has a very interesting second approach, not only for controlling lights, but also for the own supervision of these devices, this element. That is one of the most important things we are facing with the BMS is not only integration, but also supervision of everything that is inside our installations, because this is important for your end customer, and of course we have to be ready to offer this kind of functionality. So supervision of the lamps, of the ballast, any failure has to be registered. If we are using emergency lights, it's also very important to do some checks of the batteries and all these things. Could be centralized batteries. It's also compatible with our BMS. It could be decentralized batteries in each emergency lamps. Everything is possible to be managed with lamps module. So this knowledge base is also showing us what we can do and how to do it, because it's very important. And I repeat what the first thing I said about lamps module. This module is helping a lot the integrator to save a lot of time, and time is really important in a project. So functionality is explained here, but we need to understand that every single DALI gateway from each manufacturer, in this case we are going to focus on ABB, of course, every single gateway has different approaches to for this monitoring of the lamps and the ballast and so on. So in the past, or if you don't have a BMS like ours, the integrator normally has to take out these objects in KNX about every single ballast failure, every single lamps failure, and this is wasting a lot of resources from different point of view, time consuming and also data point consuming. So group addresses are massive in this in this case, only for this supervising. So several times this is not done in the projects, but it's very important for the end customer. So LAMPS module is here to help on this. And why on how to do this help? Well, it's very interesting because all KNX DALI gateways has a possibility to do polling, to do a consulting, asking the gateway itself about the issues that they can have inside. So only with a single, a very simple configuration, maybe 2, 3, 5 data points, generic for the gateway, not for the lamps, only with this 3, 2, 5 or whatever, very small amount of data points, we can do this polling, we can do this checking of the gateway, and we can get all this information from up to 64 ballots or maybe more, because there are gateways with more than one channel. So, but we need to know what are the devices we are using, for example, in our projects, and we have here the information about every single of these ballots. So, for example, if I open my ETS project from yesterday, I will do it now again, we can see that we have two different kind of ABB gateways, DALI gateways. One is the old ABB DGS 1.1, the original 1.1, and another one is a DGS 1.64.5.1. So this is a premium DALI gateway that is a more recent version of that. So one and the other one can be accessed here. So I will open a different window here, so to show you the different configuration from these elements. Okay, this is the old one and this is the new one, for example. So we need to know what are important per each device. So if I have my ETS project from yesterday, you will see what I'm talking about. So when I did this design yesterday, I had two DALI devices. Okay, DALI 1 is, let me show you here, a DGS 1.1, the old version of that. And this has two channels. Okay, one channel is normal DALI and channel B is a broadcast. Okay, only channel A is used theoretically in these examples because there's no real devices here, but for the example, you can see it here. And as you can see, I have for channel A some objects here available. Fold DALI, fold lamps, fold device, select, you can select device, and we can control device. So objects number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and also 15 and 16, for example. And I have created group addresses for this, okay? And for channel B, the same. Channel B, the same. So these group addresses, 1/6, whatever, is just for this polling, just for this supervision. Because the other layer we can say about lighting control is just devices or group control or whatever. So this, for example, is for red RGB stripe, so RGB light, whatever kind of control data points, on off status, dimming, relative dimming, absolute dimming, whatever. Okay. But for our lamps module, we need this other phase of the device. So these other elements. And this is explained in the knowledge base. So if you take a look on this ABB DGS 1.1 device, it's clear for us that we need some mandatory objects for our supervision. For example, objects mandatory are number 5, number 6, number 7, number 15, and 16. We have it. But optionally, we have object number 4, object number 8, and maybe others if it's possible to configure. So this is the reason why we have these objects number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, 16 in our ETS project. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, and 16. And for the other channel, 22, 23, 24, 25, this is the number of the objects from this manufacturer, from ABB. So it's clear that I am doing the right work for the configuration of this ABB DGS.1.1. And for the other module, it's different module. So we need maybe just 3 objects. Mandatory are only number 21, 22, and 23 for the first channel. If it's a 2 channel, because the X means for this, stands for 1 or 2 channels, DALI channels. So my module is ABBDG/S 1.64.5.1. So, okay, it's only 1. So in my ETS configuration, you will see that I only needed to implement number 21, 22, 23, and optionally number 20. Okay. And I created these group addresses for this. The rest of the configuration is just lighting control, normal lighting control, whatever lighting control. Okay, doesn't mind because we will not see these elements in real life. But it's important when we export using this BMS app, as you seen yesterday, and when I did this exporting, there was a specific part for the lamps export. And I did it yesterday. I didn't comment what I was doing about lamps export, but we got this when we imported in the BMS. And last thing to comment about this, in my ETS project, is that I just changed the name of this, DALI to DALI 1 and DALI 2. So the original name was different. Original name was this, and this. But I know that my BMS will show me these names, so I preferred to simplify the names to DALI 1 and DALI 2. So you can do it also in advance. So you can say, okay, I want to have more clear information from my ETS project, so I will just say DALI 1 and DALI 2, and it was exported like this. And the second thing to comment was, okay, if you remember, when I exported for different rooms my projects yesterday for KNX, I was just taking in account the room, the name of the IP gateway, the IP address, for example, also. But you may remember that I also changed the name of the room. It was important, I told you yesterday, because of this lamps module, because it's also considered when you import the ETS structure. So it will be classified by room. If I don't change the name of the room, or I just put room X, for example, for every single export file in the lamps module, we will get a bit of mess mixing all the gateways in the same theoretical room. No. So to avoid this, I just consider to change the name of the room every single file we exported yesterday. So we did a good job, let's say. So you will see the result here. So I can just close this because we did yesterday, and just remind you that when we imported here also the information yesterday, we also included the lamps data. You may remember, okay, this is also here present. If you don't see this option to import the lamps data, I will show you why. It's because you don't have this app installed in your BMS, but you can do it. For this, we need to manage extensions. So extension manager is available when we stop the BMS. I will do it now, and I will show you this important part of the BMS, because BMS is not just managing KNX, BACnet, or Modbus or HTTP. We can manage many other kind of protocols and modules and drivers, etc. So this is included on the fly with these extensions. And the extension manager will be available only if you stop the BMS, as you can see here. So I can start this extension manager. It's open here. And then you can see, well, I have everything installed, of course, in my BMS, but you will see this not installed at the beginning. So you need to install the LAMPS module. Sometimes we get some updates. For example, for HTTP driver, there is one new version. You need to have a recent setup version. So you can see it here. I can maybe update this. I don't know what is the version. 1.1.1. You can see maybe the change log to see the differences, but it's okay. Now I have nothing to update, nothing to install because everything is here. But it's important that you have the LAMPS module here. LAMPS is here, so I can use it. If you have the license to use it, because LAMPS is an additional module, you need license for this, like the metering also, for example. So, okay, this is the extension manager, important. Also core, the core has some things important to install, like data point definitions or reporting reporting module or XLogic libraries or whatever, but this is not the case to explain now. So it's okay. If you do some importing, it's important to close the studio and open it again, because if you don't close the studio, you will not see the LAMPS module, all these things. So I will close and open it again, the studio. It was not necessary for the LAMPS because I just updated the HTTP driver, but it's important to exit and start again the core server studio for this. So extension manager, remember, if you have the extension manager properly configured, when you import in KNX your files, that includes LAMPS information, you will see this option to select. If you don't, you will only see this first option only to import KNX data. But we did this job yesterday. It was a hidden work, but we did it. So I will show you the result. The result was, or is available in my module folder. So you can see all my modules here. One of these is LAMPS. There is a lot of modules. Normally they are, and majority are property management system for hotel management, and also door lock systems, but also the tree API or the OPC UA configuration or web visualization or many other things. So, but centering or focusing on the LAMPS module, we can see here this module. We have two parts. 99% is just for DALI, but also circuit definitions is interesting. I will maybe take some minutes afterwards to show you what is this. But for example, if we focus on DALI, you can see, well, not only ABB, but ABB is first for us. It's in alphabetical order, but okay. But ABB gateways that are compatible now are all these modules. So every single of these options opens a table, okay, in our definition. So if I open this DGS 1.1, I will see my importing result, okay, for this element. And of course, channel A, channel B, whatever. DALI 1, channel A, DALI 1, channel B. If you are not using channel B, for example, because we don't have any device on this, I can simplify my structure, maybe not deleting because it's not necessary, but I can convert to comment and then also maybe delete this channel A text. But it's just for you to show, then simplify the structure of these items. I will do this change. And oh, so ordering better this. Look, second column, the path. NETx Online is the name of my project, or the building in the ETS, NETx Online, and the room. Room. If you want, we can simplify also deleting the NETx Online, but it's okay. This is here because I take care exporting one by one room, changing the name of the room. If I don't change the name of the room, I would have problems because it will be exactly the same name here and it will be almost the same definition because data points are the same, but not here about data points. So it's okay. I did a good job, so we get the result here in a good structure. But most important thing here in this table is this. By default, you only have a polling of the first 10 devices in your driver. So if it's not the case, that it will not be the case because 1 to 10 is just a casualty to have this, you have to change it. For example, imagine that our DALI gateways only considers Palace 1 to 3. But in this room, we have 1 to 16, for example, okay? And in this one, 1 to 3, but also number 7, but also number 12 to 23. You can do this definition like if you are going to print pages, is the example I used to say. Okay, and imagine that the rest is just 1 to 3. Why is important to do this definition? First, because this is the real installation we have, and I am interested to see only the real drivers that I have in my installation. But second, and very important, because the LAMPS module is considering one data point for the license per each driver, per each device you are defining here. So if you have 1 to 10, but you are using only 1 to 3, you are wasting 7 data points for nothing in your license. So this is important. It's important. So define properly this and you will have not any problem. And then this is my ABB DGS 1.1 definitions, and we will see later on the result of this change. I will save this and I will not restart the server because I have to do more work now with the next DALI gateway. If I open, for example, this definition for this element, it will be empty because in my project, I didn't have this kind of device. This kind of device is not present in my ETS project, was not present in my ETS project, so it's empty, of course, because when I imported, none of these devices were there. But we have a second kind of device that was this module, and this is my DALI 2, okay? Second folder is correct, and then the device, that is the things that we have to check. Only, for example, only one ballast, it makes nonsense to use a DALI gateway for only one ballast, but let's see, for example, for the first rooms, only one. Okay, and this is the only 4 objects that we needed to implement. In the previous version, it was more things to do, up to 6 or 7. But in this, it's different. It's a different module, so there's less things to do in this, more updated device than for on the other. So that's it. My only concern is to come here to these tables and check the device number. Even if you want to simplify your structure or your name of the gateways, you can do it also here. Save all, restart the server, and you will see the result. And it is very important. I told you the very beginning of this explanation, most important thing for the LAMPS module is to give simplified work for the integrator and, of course, a lot of information for your end customers and for the project. And this is really important. LAMPS module will do all this work for you. It will do a polling of the drivers and ballasts per gateway, very simple way. So a few work, few effort for you. Second, it will do the necessary logics to understand if you have any issue, not only in your gateway, that is clear because it's taken from the gateway, this information, but also per room, or per building or wherever. So this is the logics that the LAMPS module is doing is like a massive amount of OR gates. Like if you have any issue in any of your floors, buildings, whatever, you will have one place in your item tree to know it. If you have any issue in your floor, the same in your building or whatever. All these logics are done by the LAMPS module. And it's also very important independently of the module of the gateway you are using. The structure will be very similar, if not identical. So even independently of the manufacturer, but in this case, we're using ABB, so only ABB, but different modules. Okay, so we are restarting the server. I can close this and show you the result. The result will be seen in the module folder. Module LAMPS is here. So there's an info about if we have active this LAMPS license, the database is synchronized. There is no queues about the database test runs, results, and updates. Okay, this is an internal thing. Nothing to comment here, but we have my DALI. And this is what I was telling you. This is a resume of if you have any fault in the any device, number of faulty devices. Of course, this is a fake information because we don't have any device in the real world. But we have this project, but you could have several projects, not only one. We have this project that has also information about the project. That is only one project. This information is exactly the same as this. But if you have several projects, this top information is about all the projects. This is only about this project. And this is a resume, like a logic of every single room information. So if you go to one room, you have also information about the room that contains several gateways, as you can see, DALI 1 and DALI 2. Also telling us if you have any fault or whatever. And if I go to the gateway itself, I have a lot of information about this gateway, DALI 1, and a lot of information about this other gateway, DALI 2. Both gateways, same information, but they are different. They are different. This is monitoring object 4, 5, and 6. This is monitoring object 20, 21, and 22. But my item ID is exactly the same. Is fault DALI, fault LAMP, fault ballast, the important things. Okay, so, and then per gateway, in the depending on the definition, I have only 3 devices for this gateway in this room. But for example, in the room 0102, I think it was, in my DALI 1, I have different definitions. So I have
Julio, your audio.
okay.
Yes, back again.
Okay.
Just last 5 seconds, you have to probably repeat.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I was telling that independently of the model of the gateway, you get exactly the same information, and the definition you did in the table is here. So for this room, we have some devices. I did it random, so I don't remember. I remember that it was from 1 to 3, then from 4 to 16, for example. And in DALI 2, it was only one device. So this is the result of your DALI LAMPS integration with all this information. That is very interesting. And then second and third approaches. This is very interesting, and you can represent if you have any issue, you can trigger alarms, you know how to do an alarm. So maybe this item has to be monitored, and then send me an email if you have any issue in DALI. Maybe this is not good because you have 2,000 ballasts, you will get emails every hour because sometimes it's happening. But I think it's more interesting to get a report of this, a report. So this is the second approach. Let's go back to the web manager. I think I have a web manager here somewhere. No, but okay, I open a web manager again. problem. Here's my web manager. And then let's talk about reporting. So reports. Let's create a test folder in report example. Okay, you can save the report example folder, and then I will create a report instance. Okay, name DALI report for room 0101. What kind of reports? We have several kind of reports you can use. So, for example, lamps, device status, UPS, emergency lighting, lighting status, multiple means multiple gateways, specific gateway, the latest information of a specific gateway, a group of gateways. This means a group of the same kind of devices. Okay, logbook multi, test log, there's a lot. So, for example, one specific gateway, and then important, the date range, for example, yesterday or today, for example, and select the gateway. Here we have all the gateways included in the project and also the deleted. So it's interesting that everything is, all the changes are also monitored. But for example, for room 0101, I have DALI 2 and DALI 1. So DALI 1, for example, and which format for the report. It could be a PDF, an Excel file, a CSV file, that is almost the same, a Word file, an image, or a HTML. Okay, PDF is okay. So I can just save this. This is the report instance. This is very important to understand this, because maybe we can see the report. It will be empty because we have not connection to any element. It will be, of course, empty, but you get the report here. There is no data available, of course, but you can see the format of the report. And this instance, this is the second interesting thing, can be used externally, for example, to send by email every single day to a specific responsible. This is also possible. We can use a specific command that is report sending, and then you can, for example, by email, send this. Or you can save a daily report in your hard disk. It's also another action that we can select in our BMS. So it's really interesting to see this. If you want to see a real report, I will show you my home's BMS. Okay, my home BMS has a lamps module. I will show you module, lamps, DALI, but the only device is one non-premium. This is what I have on my home, ABB DALI gateway, only one. Okay, this module, a path home, devices, 33 devices, and I know that the device number 32 is in failure because I have the power off for this. This is external light, a street light that is DALI. I have it outside, near the access, and then this light will be in failure for sure. I know, because I have the interrupter is down, so the electric switch is down. So this is my home project, only one gateway, but it's okay. I can show you again my lamps, my DALI. So it's connected. True if any fault occurred, yes. Number of faulty devices, only one. And if I go to home, I can find my gateway here. And here is where you see what is the faulty device. Faulty device is the number 32. That is my street light. I know. Okay. And then we have my devices, all my internal devices at my home is perfectly working. So I can trigger a test. And then test is succeeded. You can see here for all the devices except device 32 that has a ballast fault. Not the lamp, but the ballast because it's power off. Okay. And also one of the devices, the last one, is a emergency light. So we also can trigger a specific functional test, duration test, partial duration test, battery test, etc. So if you have information about the result, you get it here. So in my home project, I can go to my web manager and show you the report, because web manager here, okay, I have it here also open. I have my reporting here, and there is one specific reports, for example, created about DALI. So LAMPS gateway, yesterday, this is the gateway, this is the fail type. It's not enabled because I was sending daily to my email and I decided to disable this, but I will show you the report here. So the report is including all information in this time range. Daily is a lot of information because it's polling every single amount of seconds. So we have a lot of pages in PDF. If you only want the last report, it's just the last result. But if you want to see the evolution of your DALI gateways or DALI devices in one day, it's also interesting. It's taking some time. So we'll see. Or maybe we can create later only one short report about the last information. Okay. So this was the second approach, the report generation, and then I can show you how to create a event to send this report to whatever person. So I will show you how I have this configured, because this is also part of the web manager, no? How to create, it's a calendar or a one-time event, but the action to execute is done using this. Okay, we have my lamps report afterwards, and it's component data available. Why? Strange. Sorry. Let me check. Maybe I have to create a new one just for test. Lamps gateway latest. My gateway is this. It's a bit slower than my other computer, but interesting to see. And the last approach I was telling you is visualization. So I will show you first, for the first time, visualization. It's another icon in my ecosystem for the BMS, but it's also possible. So we have this. Okay, we have my report now. And now with information, that is good. 2 pages only, but you can see the only faulty device is my fault ballast device 32. This is interesting because I can just create a event that sends me this information every day, for example, at a specific time. So show me the latest information. So you get that everything is okay, but except the device number 32. Okay. So this device is nice to have this instance. And then I will show you, before I show you the visualization part, I will show you this. So how to create an event to send me this report by email, etc. Okay, let's go and do it. I will do it in my home BMS. Okay, so we have a scheduler part we didn't use. I will open it now. Okay, and I will create, it's something in Spanish, so sorry for this, but I will create a folder test. Okay, it's in alphabetical order, so it will be last. That's good. And I will create a one-time event, something that will happen only once per day, because I will create a daily recurrence, as you can see here. Okay, so name of my daily one-time event will be send report of DALI gateway by email. Okay. At what time I will define later on which color for this event. I don't mind. DALI yellow. Why not? Okay. And now the important thing, which action you want to execute with this calendar, with this one-time event. Action has to be selected, but in this case also created on the fly because I don't have any actions for this. And now you will discover a new world. When we saw before the conditions, it was simple conditions. Also I didn't show you, but maybe tomorrow I can have time. It could be also complex conditions using Lua scripting or whatever. But in this case, the actions are more sophisticated and more rich. We have much more options to select actions. Okay, so the action will be email sending of report, for example. Okay, and then I can select an X command, but I have a whole range of commands to select. A lot of things, a lot. Even X commands that you can define by yourself. This will be shown tomorrow. So the easiest X command, the typical one, is to write a telegram. So okay, turn on a light. You select write and then an item and a value. But we have other options, like for example about reporting. I can send a report or save a report in my computer. I told you before. In this case, I will select this action, send report. And then it's very easy. What is the report instance? So this was the reason why it was important to create an instance that we can call, we can recover. So the instance was, where is my instance? I didn't save it. No, it was here in report. Sorry, that's okay. It was here. Okay, this is my instance. And then we have some profiles for sending emails. I will show this to you. This is in my BMS. We have module, messenger, email. So here you can find this configuration. So So if I open this table, you can see profile is Julio, and this is from, that is whatever. And I have my own authentication, whatever, the typical authentication that you can find also on Gmail, to have a, let's say, a way to send telegrams, like a SMTP server configuration. So this is what you need. But this configuration is called Julio. So this is the reason why you can find it here. When you select this messenger profile email, is configured. And then what is the destination of this? Let's say my email, julio.diaz at, this is shorter, for example, and a subject, daily report, DALI latest, or whatever. That's it. This is my action. Send a report to this email. Okay, I select this, and now at what time? So it's 7:19, so 7:20. Let's say at 7:20, save. So this is configured. So I guess if I see my BMS, I will see information about sending a report. Report name, you can see here, report name, and then sent by email. I guess it will be also maybe shown here, but well, I can check my email just and show you if it's coming or not. It's very simple. Okay, let me check if I got this. And just check if it could send the email. There's a lot of information. That's interesting sometimes to see that it's really complex and powerful, but I'm just trying to see. Well, I will check email again. Here it is. Let me show you. This is my email. So I have received daily report DALI latest. And if I open it, you can get the PDF. So it's really interesting to see how, of course, with my penultimum device in faulty, it's very interesting to see that we can also not only create a report, but also send by email to whatever person. So you have seen this, and this is very interesting. And the last approach I promised to show you was the visualization part. So I am opening the visualization editor, and I'm going to open a specific project that is the airport demo. Airport demo is an example that we have, we show in different exhibitions, just for you to understand. We connect locally to the server, admin change me, and then we get this information. This is an example of what we can do. So if I show you this example in runtime, another thing we can do is to get structure information in visual way. I mean, if you have lamps, you can go to a lamp and see. This is not working because I don't have the real BMS behind this, but you can see a gateway itself, and then you can distribute the lamps, every single device, every single lamp in your layout of your building or whatever, and then you can select this. If it's an emergency, you will be able to control or to test or to see the hours. All the information that is coming from DALI is also possible because we have, I don't know if I have another examples here. Yeah, we have the possibility to select, or maybe this one, for example. I don't mind. We have the possibility to select in our visualization in modules, lamps, devices, or gateways. So if we have an array, so it's very simple. We can select and then you are selecting which is the location of your gateways, for example, and then you get a lot of information of this. So it's a massive amount of information. Maybe I should have to create a new page to show you this. We create a new page and try to do it here. Page, sorry, module lamps, device in a table or array. It's better. So, okay, now it's here. Select the gateway, for example, this one, or maybe this, that has more devices. And then you have here your whatever number of devices, 1 to 16, and then you have this possible options to see if you select your lamps, whatever. If it's a emergency or normal, it's a pop-up windows, so you can distribute your lamps in the layout of your background, whatever. So if you start here, what you get in runtime is, okay, I have this lamp, so I can control it. But I repeat, if it's not a real project behind, you cannot trigger this kind of windows. But if it's emergency, you can do a running test about functions, battery durations, or whatever. If it's a normal device, you will see the possibility to turn on and off or dim to see different operating hours. So many information that is coming from DALI. So it's very interesting, the lamps module, because you can do all these things in runtime. So I think it's really really powerful tool to consider for your lighting projects, no? To the projects where you have a lot of lighting control, and moreover, if you have DALI. But it's not only for DALI. I told you 1% of the module, of the lamps module, sometimes is used for another things, like supervising a lighting circuit, not just specifically DALI. This is the aim of the circuit definition part. So when you have circuit definitions like I have here, you can define whatever lighting control, well, even not only lighting control. So you can, okay, you are asked to select, I will do an example in my project, okay. So I will do it here. So module lamps, DALI, circuit definition. Okay, so I will create a definition, new definition, name, for example, light, bed light, room 0101, for example. And the on-off item ID for the bed light is possible to select lights on-off bed. Okay, this one. And status, can select status bed. Okay, and then we will have one advantage. Well, the first advantage of our circuit definition is that we can supervise the time of the use time of this circuit. If the status is on, there will be a counter counting seconds of use of this. So you can also indicate some thresholds and alarms, some warning thresholds and alarm thresholds. Imagine that, for example, I want to say if the light is on more than 50 seconds, there will be a Boolean item that will be true because it's a warning, and I can trigger a whatever action about this. These references are not real one, because normally it should be millions of seconds to analyze, because 1 second is 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. So normally a light will be 40,000 hours, so it will be millions of seconds to have a warning threshold to say, okay, please check this lamp because it's over the normal timing or whatever. But this is the first approach. Then we can also have the brightness item ID if it's a dimmable element. That's possible. Brightness is a value, percentage value, and the status of this. Okay, status item ID. Perfect. Status bed, this one. No, status percentage bed, this one. Okay, a scale factor if necessary. That is not, because I remember I was checking this with the data point type, and everything that is percentage is a DPT, has the correct DPT. And then, and this is the second approach and the second advantage of this circuit definition, if you have the current in milliamperes, I mean, current is the milliamperes, that is, this circuit is consuming, you can put an item here, you can put the voltage, and the lamps module will calculate you the power, instant power, and the energy. So how to do this? It's very simple. Current item ID. I don't have any of this, or maybe I can invent. I can maybe say, as far as I remember in BACnet, I had some device for my home, and then I had whatever value in current, charging current. That is now in 430 milliamperes because my car is charging. So let me check this one. Okay, no scale factor. I can select also warnings for lower and higher thresholds, warnings and alarms. I will not put any of these values. A voltage, okay, voltage. I have also voltage here, I think so. Yes, a voltage. But this is multiplied by 10, so I will apply a factor, scale factor 0.1. Again, warnings, alarms, we can also create these values for warnings, higher and lower warnings and alarms. The power item ID, I don't have it, but I can say calculate it for me. Power approximation means, okay, please do the calculation. If I have the current and the voltage, the multiplication of both are the power. If we're talking about watts, not multi-amperes, but imagine that the Cost fee is 1, but it's okay. It's just a simulation, and also energy approximation true. So please do the integral calculation of this power in time. And this is a circuit definition. So I will just save, restart the server, and to finish this part, I will show you the result. We will be evaluating circuit. Okay. Of course, the current is not the real current of the light. It's another thing, but for you to understand how it works, it's interesting. And about the metering module, we will talk about after this session that is ending now. So I think in the last session we can do also include this part, because last part of today was for basic things about visualization. So it could be maybe reduced in some time and then take this time for the metering module that I think it's more interesting today. So let's go to the item tree to show you what I have here. In my module lamps, I will have my room with my bed light and a lot of information about this. For example, I can turn on the light, and I maybe can show you this with the camera. Camera is on, yes. So I can turn on the light. I write one value. Okay. So a counter is starting in the BMS. This warning threshold is 50, and the time is below this value, so it will be false. But when this comes to more 50 or more, it will be true. Maybe I can change the brightness to another value, like for example 10%. So it will be more clear for me, and that's 10% approximately. There is a current value here, and there is a voltage value here. So you have a power. The current is in milliamperes, not in amperes. Milliamperes, the voltage is in volts. So my power is 100 watts, for example. And then there is an energy calculation in watts per hour. Not kilowatts per hour, but watts per hour. So if you want this value to be used for the metering, it's okay. We can use this. It's an estimation. It's an estimation of energy consumption, but it's valid for some calculations. So it's free for us. So as you can see here, as mentioned before, this value is higher than the threshold for the warning. So the warning is now true. The alarm is false because the value is lower than 100. We can change these values dynamically also. You can say no 100, but 1 million, for example. So it will not become true until August or even more. And also here, we can write here and change to 500, for example. So this will become false again because the value is not higher than these values. These values can be changed dynamically. Also, we can create warnings, thresholds for current or whatever for the voltage. So you can supervise and monitor every circuit with this circuit definition tool. So it's very interesting also. So I will turn off the light. So you will see that the counter will stop, not comes to 0, but stop. Turn off the light. And then stop in 135. That's okay. If I turn on again, it will resume. And again, doing the calculation, that's great. So, and this is the end of this session. So thanks so much, and I hope you have enjoyed this. We have seen several things about lamps, but not only for DALI, but also for a circuit definition. Interesting. So we can resume in 15 minutes. Subankar, if it's okay for you. Let me check.
Yes, absolutely. If it is okay for you also, no problem. I think we have a question from Alexander.
Yeah, and the
Let's see. Under
include to have
lamps is the
energy
potential.
consumption reading for drivers, for example, the DALI part 252. I'm not sure. This is a question for our colleagues. I guess this is not a problem for us. So if there is some requirements about this information in if there is in the specifications and the gateway is giving us this information, we can get it. But remember that the LAMPS module is taking information directly from KNX to DALI gateways. So if the manufacturers are including this information, like for example the hours, the hours of use, we can
Hmm.
get it, of course. But if it's not present in the gateway, or not possible to do it from the gateway, Kennex to DALI gateway, it could be a bit more complex to do this. But it's if it's a functionality, remember that NETx is software, so uh, it's what we can say. Uh, and about the last question, Alexander, if I know it, I cannot tell you if it's not ABB. So I'm sorry for this, but being no, telling you the truth, I don't know. I don't know what manufacturer is planning to include, but I guess all. But this is not easy and fast to do because it has to be information coming from the yeah, I know. Coming from the drivers, from the ballasts. The ballast has to be ready for this energy consumption acquisition. So if the ballast is not ready, it doesn't mind the software. We will get not info. So it's important. But I agree with you that this submetering part is really important. But for that, Alexander, we have this last part of the LAMPS module. The circuit definition is possible for you to estimate the consumption and then with some logic estimate the current and the voltage. You can get it from whatever meter. So it's easy to estimate this consumption. It's not real, I understand, but it's a solution, temporary solution, before you get all this information from the drivers. This is what I can say from my point of view. But it's a really interesting question, Alexander. Thank you for that, for this. So, okay, 15 minutes minus 5, and then we can start the last part if you want.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, we take a break of 15 minutes now and we'll resume shortly. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we are in the last session of this second journey, and we'll be focused on talking about the metering module that is also very important in many projects. So lamps and metering module are the most typical cases of apps that our customers add to the BMS licenses. And metering is really interesting part. I have to say that I was responsible to write some units for KNX International about advanced training. I don't know, Subankar, if you know it. Maybe not, because I don't used to deal about these things. One of the unit was the energy efficiency unit. So I was responsible to write this energy efficiency unit in the advanced course. And in this unit, I was talking about this energy analysis because it's very important to have this kind of analysis in one project. You may think that getting the energy value is
Correct.
it's important, but without an analytics of this value is nothing, because if you just represent this value in a graphic, you will get just a value that is going up and up and up, but you will not see uh, if it's going faster or slower.
Yes,
So you will not get the consumption per hour or per day or per week. So this will be not useful at the end. So this
absolutely.
is the aim of the metering module, is exactly this: analyze values. So I will
Absolutely.
show you first, for example, what I am doing at my home. Now I have BMS is again licensed. Sorry for this, because I lost 10 days of BMS. It was out of license. Um, it has a temporary license for 1 year, but exactly finished some days ago, and I was on a trip. So I could realize of this today when I just tried to connect to my home BMS. Oh, yesterday, sorry, when I was able to react to the message that I received that the BMS was not working fine, but it's okay. I will show you how to do this. Metering module, as you can see, is present in my module branch metering. Okay, so I have some meters definitions, aerotherm, auxiliary. Well, this is for my home. So the most important consumptions are the aerotherm, so for HVAC. In my case, it's just for heating, floor heating, and domestic hot water. So this is the consumption for aerotherm because we are not using. It's not necessary in my region. It's really not hot part of Spain. We live in the north of Spain, so it's not hot, and nobody has at their homes air condition. So this is really fresh part of Spain. But for winter, we need heating, and of course, everywhere domestic hot water is necessary. So the aerotherm consumption is only for this. And electrical vehicle charging. That is a ABB Terra device, but we are getting these measurements from the electrical board. So we have some electrical meters for these different circuits. Kitchen, the cocina is kitchen. Hogar consumo is the total consumption for my home. Hogar is home. External circuits like external lights and plugs and whatever. The washing machine, lavadora, lights and sockets, lights and plugs, luces y tomas, and other consumptions. Okay, so that this is what we have here, and different kind of circuits are metered, but also the overall consumption. So what we get here is because we have managed this from the web manager. So we have in my web manager, now you can see the metering app here. And when you open it, you can go to the configuration because we need different things. For example, I cannot get a meter point configuration if I don't create a graphic. So the first thing to do is to define charts for this metering. So I will go back and show you trendings, not charts, trendings for the metering, for the energy. It should be here in metering. Yeah, consumptions. So these trendings are necessary. Consumption for aerotherm. And this is the data point that we have. They are virtual because they are corrected. In my BMS at home, the metering values are coming, but has to be corrected with a power factor. So it's not done here. It's not scaling here because we had this process outside. So I can show you, for example, that in my home, I get a lot of Modbus devices like these power tags, for example, and then I get this information. So energy is coming here multiplied by 1,000. Or in the total consumption from my home is in a specific device that is called Shoreline, and this energy is multiplied by 100,000. So these values are important to be corrected. And we do it doing some logics, doing some tasks, and we are writing this in virtual. So counters, energy counters corrected here. So, or here, corrected values from this device. And to correct these values, we use a task. There is some process that can use a script, all these things that can be explained maybe tomorrow with more detail, I think. So I have these values to analyze. So here, what I did is just to create trendings. But if I show you the trending, this is really not. Let me show you the year. It's not useful for me because, well, year is maybe a lot of information, but it will take some time. But I can show you in a line and not in a bar format. But it's not useful because you don't know what is the consumption per day or per month or per week or whatever. So if I show you in line, this is what you get. This is okay. I understand that. I have a value that is going up and up and up because this is the value of my consumption. But let me show month. June is only 1 point because I lost the connection. But in May, for example, we have this and say, okay, what is this? Yes, I can get the value. Okay, if the value of the first day of the month is this, and the value of the last month of the day is this, I can calculate the difference. I know, but it's better to have a tool that is doing this for you. And the same with the rest of the things. We need the trending for sure because we need data to be stored. So this is the first step. So if you are taking notes, take step 1, create trendings. But of course, in the metering module, what we have to do is to create meter points. So it is what the second step, let's say, is, okay, create a folder for whatever and define meter points. So for aerotherm, what we need just to define is, okay, I will create a meter point called aerothermia, that means aerotherm, or HVAC energy consumption, and the trending is this one. So you need to indicate what is the trending. And another thing that is important is the resource. What is the resource? It's a classification of energy consumptions because resource could be electricity, but also could be water, or could be gas, or could be gas oil or gasoline or whatever, because it's not just related to electricity. I know that electricity is maybe 95% of the things that we meter in buildings because we are electrifying more and more everything, but our BMS is open to whatever value. So if you have other consumptions, let's say water, it's possible. So you need to classify by resource. So resource is are also defined here, electricity. And the resource have a cost rate. And this cost rate is ELEC, for example. And this cost rate could have a default price, fixed price defined here, but also could be variable. So I will show you. You may think, okay, can we change this default price? Because the metering module, as I will show you, can calculate not only energy consumption, but also energy cost. This is very important. So is the price, is possible to change this value dynamically? And the answer is yes, of course, but not here. It has to be done in the item 3. Here in the metering module, not here, sorry, in module metering, okay. We should have. It's not here. Oh, curious. Let me check. Let me check. I will do an example here in my own BMS. Let me check. Because it's important to demonstrate that what I say is true. Sorry. So we'll create a trending. Just for, as an example, it's just, and I will create a trending. And the item will be, for example, this value that I showed you before. All and maybe I can divide by 1000 to get kilowatts per hour. Okay, we're getting values now, so it's good. We will get a lot of information in a few time. So I have a metering, so I can trending, so I can go to metering and then show you how to do this. So first step, create a trending. Second step, create a meter point. Okay, energy, accumulation or consumption. Okay, this depends on the meter. If the meter is giving you the value, accumulated value, it's accumulation. If it's giving you quarterly, for example, every 15 minutes, the difference, it's just consumption. And then it's directly almost part of the job is done by the meter, but in this case, normally it's accumulation. So let's say, what is the trending for this? We have this energy test. This is my trending. And what is the resource? Okay, I have not resource created, so I have to create it. So this is what I mean. A resource can be electricity. And what is the cost rate? We don't have it. We have to create it. We can cost rate. Kilowatts per hour, for example, 0.16, for example. And this is unit, yeah. What you need, basically. And then I just save, and I have my meter point that I can show. Okay. And this is meter point. So it could be shown like a meter reading or like a consumption. So you can say, okay, we can see the consumption. But as we haven't accomplished 1 hour, we have no data calculated. So we need more time we need to be patient for this. But it's interesting that we have this chart. We can say cost, meter reading, or consumption. So we have everything here. Meter reading is shown, but consumption not, because we haven't enough patient to see the values, and also costs. Okay, this is a meter point, but also a part of the meter point we can assign energy to my cost center. So energy to the cost center, and this is done here, I think. Yeah, in the cost center plan, you give the energy in percentage. So when you see the cost center plan, here we can see our information. So just create a cost center plan that can have cost centers inside the main cost center. This means, for example, if you have a building with 10 offices, or the hotel with the rooms, you can create a cost center is the hotel. Another cost center inside the hotel are floors, and another cost center inside the floors are the rooms, and the rooms has electricity, water, and gas, or whatever. So it can be done like this. So you can see then calculation charts that you can create many of these calculation charts to compare. So I will compare room consumptions or the floor consumptions and include this cost center or whatever. So the structure is very easy to handle. And then the consumption can be shown, or the costs. So you can select cost, consumption, or also with kind of resource at the series, and you get this information here. It's very simple. It's very simple to do this. But what I wanted to check is if I have here in the module metering. Yes, this item. This is what I mean. This item. That is, you can dynamically say, no, now is 0.22, and you are calculating cost with this. Sorry, it's comma, 0.2. That's it. So you can change dynamically. It's an item that can be changed dynamically, and this is what I am missing here. So in my configuration, and also this is the most interesting thing, all the information that is calculated by the energy module. So I have only one value. So you have, this is my current meter reading. This is 0.007 kilowatts per hour. Okay, now, and you are getting information, how many consumption in the current hour, today, this week, the month, and the year. So it has to be exactly the same because I have just already created this. Also, the previous value, what was the consumption 1 hour ago, 1 day ago, 1 week ago, 1 month ago, 1 year ago. This is really interesting. And also,
Julio, your audio.
better?
Normal, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
5 seconds only lost. That's good.
Yes,
You are
I'm reacting within 5 seconds.
real time. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, normally, I used to do this. It's not failing because I am also dynamically reminding myself, do this, do this. I am changing the microphone and go back to the good one. And normally you are not having to remind me, but it's okay. You are there.
No worries. We are here, so you can
So
concentrate on the training.
no time loss. Yes. So limits, it's important because we can establish limits. Alexander was asking before some similar things. Okay, if you have an average and this is above a limit, a threshold, how to do an alarm or whatever? No, you have everything here. So you put the limit. What is the limit consumption for an hour, for example? Oh, it could be no more than 3, for example, kilowatts per hour. So it's if it's above this value, so you write the value 3. This is your limit. And the next time it comes a value, as the value is less than 3, this item will be false. You can see false. So it's not above the limit, it's below the limit. Yeah, and daily, what is the maximum? No, daily, no more than 20, for example. So you just write this. Dynamically can be changed, but you just write, oh, in a week it's not good that the value is higher than 100. I am just inventing values, okay? In a month, no more than 2000 or whatever. So if you put limits, you are getting calculations about Boolean elements. So in a year, 16,000. So of course, all these values are false. That's nice. And so, but this has to be done by you the limits has to be defined by you, and then you get these booleans calculated by the module. And then also peaks. So what is the daily maximum value in 1 hour or minimum? So we only have maximum and the minimum is the same, so it's not calculated. Weekly, which is the day that you had more consumption or less, which is the day in the month, and in the year, which is the day in the year and the month in the year with maximum and minimum values. That's really great because you can have reference of what is the highest if you are in the having a record of consumption or not or whatever. So this is really interesting. And this information per each metering point, for each meter point. Okay, so what I was missing is this item in my BMS. So let me check the version of the metering module. Okay, let me check. Go back to my BMS. And let me check why I'm not getting this item here, because it should be the resources here in the front. Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know. I will check. The question is, I will show you my cost center plan that I have here. Okay, I'm at home with all these meters. So I can, for example, include everything. If you put the cost center, you will see everything. Consumption, electricity, add new series. This is the total. But if you want to compare with aerotherm, you add and you have both. And you electrical vehicle, for example, you have the three of these. And then this is your calculation chart. That's good. You will have this calculation chart here in your project tree if you save it. So you have another calculation chart here. You recently created, but you can get more. For example, I have exactly the same, same example, but it could be also modified if you want. You can add to this, for example, the lights and sockets, for example. Okay, so you have 4. And then this is for today, but maybe you can change this to week. See last week, for example, maybe you have more data, no data last week, but 2 weeks ago, yes, we have data from 2 weeks ago. Maybe monthly information. This is May, but in June we don't have so much because all these days were the BMS were closed. But you can see that May, for example, have a lot of information, and then dynamically you can say, I'm not interested to see the total, only comparing aerotherm and electrical vehicle, or all aerotherm, show me this, and then you can change or save this plot or table. So it's really interesting. So you can save as an Excel file. You can create a report also for metering. Of course, there are some reports for metering. So you can come here and go to reporting and see. Maybe I have some examples here. Yeah, graphical consumptions, current year, metering chart, and which is the calculation chart that is defined by this one. Something strange. Okay, sorry. I was going to show you a report, so let me do it, but not trusting in this. Okay, monthly calculation chart. Maybe this is better to create a new one, but it's not possible. Maybe some issue with my license, because it was a recent license. That should be working. I don't know why. Okay, I will do a report from my BMS here. So let's not this, no, not this. My web manager is this. Let me create a report. Then, which kind of report? And so, metering, meter point, metering chart, metering table, metering chart is good. And what is the calculation chart? And then we have my calculation chart, that you can have different ones, but this is the one that I am selecting, and I can generate the report that is going to be empty, of course, but at least I can show you that it's possible to create a report with whatever. So it's yearly, so some consumption in June, but it could be today or absolute or monthly or whatever. So you can also generate a report for today information. So today is just hourly consumption. Something is happening. But the question is that you can create also reports for metering. So it's interesting. Now the question is, it's a pity not to show you the other example from my home, because something is happening with the app, I guess. Let me log out and log in again. But okay, let me check. Metering chart. Now it's working. Okay. I select current year, last month, for example. That's good. I would save. And remember, we can send this by email also, so it's possible to do this. Now, yeah, looks good. Oh, that's good. That's what you can different colors. So total green is electrical vehicle charger. So sometimes we are charging a lot. We have two cars. One is electrical, one is a plug-in hybrid. So it's a lot of intensive this electrical charging. So the Terra ABB Terra is being used more and more. Okay, so this was for the metering. Okay, metering module, really interesting and important in different projects. And what you get is a lot of information. I told you, very useful information to analyze what is happening with your consumption. So not only current values, but also last values, not calculated for day or week, but last month it was this. About aerotherm, almost nothing, because it's here is almost summer. So this is just a few kilowatts per hour per the domestic hot water. But if you see the graphic in the web manager, we can maybe take a look on this. Taking a look only in aerotherm, that is possible. put year, and you see how it's going down and down and down. It's clear. And last year, you can see also the evolution. So as aerotherm is only for winter, nothing in spring, almost nothing in summer, and also autumn, and that's it. So it's clear that this is the aerotherm. But the electrical vehicle is, this is the evolution, because last year we buy the electrical car in June. So you can see this was for my car, and now after that for both cars. And this year is also huge amount of, and you can see monthly or whatever. It's dynamic, so it's really nice to see the evolution of this. You can select 1, 2, 3, or 4, or all, save, whatever. So one day that was not consumption. Okay. Why? I don't know why, but maybe because the server was off also, like all this period. Okay, so that's really interesting metering module, I think. So we have half an hour left to explain other things. But remember, with the web manager, we can create alarms, trends, schedules, whatever. So for example, and last example, because it will be really fast. If I want to create a calendar per light for control every light, it will be very easy, but we can create a template for this. So I will do this, not in this web manager, in my web manager, sorry. I will do this here as a last example, and then we can take a brief look on the visualization. So scheduler for calendars for the lights. And I will save time because I will show you. I have a specific template for the lights, but for alarms. And I will create now a new template for start stop time event, for example, to create one calendar per each light. So the name is light calendars. Path extension, okay, let's create a second folder, events, and then for lights, and then for room. Okay, room, and then variables, floor and room. And I will classify by room. And inside the room, it will be the calendar for all the lights of this room. I will do this way because it's important. The calendars, you can see the calendars contained in a folder, not a specific calendar inside the folder. So if you want to create a specific view of only one calendar, you should create a folder per light. But if you don't, you will have all the 6 light calendars together in the same view, because the folder is per room. So this is interesting aspect. Okay, name for my calendar. Okay, this is a schedule for light, another variable L at room, and I have floor and room. And I am using exactly the same definition for the variables as we did for the alarms. This is good because the Excel file with the value content will be the same. I can use it, I can reuse it, so I will save a lot of time, and this example will only waste 5 minutes, no more. Description, nothing. Start date and time, I will do it afterwards. Different actions, yes, because I want to turn on the lights and turn off the lights, so 2 actions. So on for light, whatever, I copy paste, I'm very good copy pasting. On for light this at room, whatever, and what is the logic? Very easy. And now I will use an action. Remember, the most basic thing is to write a value, right? Send to this item ID. I will now select one alias room lights on off whole. I select just one, but I will substitute the current values with the specific variables for floor and room and for name of the light. Value 1. or true, for example, and stop action, okay, off, and copy paste for light, whatever. And no description, and then my logic is a command called write. This is a basic thing. Item ID exactly the same, so I copy paste. Told you I'm very good. And value false. It could be 1 or 0. It isn't. It has an interpretation from the BMS. Recurrence daily, for example, whatever. It could be ignoring holidays or excluding holidays or including holidays, so just holidays. It's just to play with this, no problem. So this is my template. That's okay. And now I save my template. Go here to my scheduler. Come here and apply a template. And this is the most interesting thing. I will apply a template for light calendars, but I don't have to export Excel template and fill these values because I have done it before. I have these values in another Excel file. So just import, and I will create 48 calendars with 96 actions because I have on and off. So you can see here, and then you can see here my events for lights per room and all these things here inside. And the question is, how can I see the calendar? Show calendar. You have the calendar here. You can see this like an agenda, for example, or a monthly view of your calendars per day, every day, etc. Starting today, because you have created this today. And last but not least, let's test it. And I did a mistake because I wanted to test it. So I go again to template, and I will put a time that will be shown that is working fine for all the lights. So you will see the lights on, but we need to use 8. For example, it's 8:38, 8:39 is not enough time. Not enough time. 20 and 30, in 10 seconds. They will be on or off. I'm saving. Did I have enough time? Oh, okay. I'm stupid. I'm really stupid. If I have time, 40, 50. Yes, I have 1 minute to apply this template. I have saved it. Yes. Go here to scheduler, go here again, and I apply the template. Light calendars, select the file. I'm living on the edge because I have to import this. And if I have enough time, it was, yes, oh, even 40 seconds more than necessary. So you get here this. I will show you that the calendar, for example, is ready at 8:40:50. So I have 25 seconds left. Woof, more than necessary. So at 8:40:50, it will be on all the lights because I have created 48 calendars. So all of them will be executed at the same time in 10 seconds now. And 10 seconds later, it will be off. So it's really accurate, precise, and 3, 2, 1, 0. That's it. Calendars is working. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and calendar is working fine. And we have that light in the first particle board that is a bit lazy and do the work after a few seconds. So this is another example of creating massive work, working fine with BMS Web Manager using a template. That is very interesting thing. And now to finish in 40 minutes, I will start dealing about visualization. Okay, it's just a first approach of this. Okay, so I will close this Web Manager and I will show you. We have an icon, specific icon. I will close all this for visualization editor. So I will open this visualization editor. This is a client, close my camera. This is a client of the server. So it could be installed in a different computer. It's not necessary to be locally connected to my computer. It could be installed in a different computer. In fact, I could connect to my home BMS, for example, and try to edit projects there, because the projects that are shown in my computer are different than the projects that are in the other computer. So maybe I can try to show you this. So here I am asked to connect. Okay, if it's a local connection, I am connected to my computer, this one. And then if I want to open the latest project that was the airport demo, I just have to log in, but it's not the case. I want just to open another workspace, just to show you that the projects that you can see here are all this. Okay, a lot. Okay, there's a lot. I have a lot of examples here in this computer. But if I say, let's connect to another server, this can be a client of a different server. So if I know the name of the server, I think this is the one, but I can check. No problem to check here. CMG command prompt and ask for ipconfig. It's, yes, I have to. Yeah, it's Ethernet and also Wi-Fi. Two different. Okay, 152, it's okay. So it's correct, 152. So let's back again here. 152. A port is a specific port for the VNet communication. So password and PIN has to be synchronized. So you have to be in according with these password and pins present in the other BMS. This password and this PIN is configured. I will show you in not here. I always forget where, but I am always finding it. No, it's a server configuration. Yeah. Okay. TLS, password TLS ping. So this is a secure, extremely secure communication between server and client. 1234 is by default, but of course has to be changed in real projects. Okay, 1234, 1234. This is the password and the ping. So for us, if you have a backup server, you can connect both at the same time. There's this hot connection, hot main backup. I will say okay, just to show you that I am connected to another BMS. I will be asked to log in. But for example, if I say open, it is trying to connect to my server. But something is happening. is not able to connect to it. Don't know why, but should be easy to do this, but maybe I have to restart the server, maybe. Let me check. Typical case, restarting. Okay, some seconds. Here, restarting the server and trying to connect to it. Okay. In a few seconds we will see this working fine. So just the first approach for this visualization is the visualization editor doesn't have to be in the same computer where you have the BMS. It could be in a remote one. Okay, I was trying to show you that it's working. So server configuration is this, and then should try to connect to the server, and the server should allow. Yeah, should work, but doesn't mind. I was just trying to show you the projects that I have in my computer, but it's not a problem. We can go ahead. Okay, we have a lot of projects to show, but I will create a new one just to show you the very first approach or what is happening when you are creating a new project. So ABB visualization, just this. And then it's interesting, we can use a template. So tomorrow I will show you this use of templates and widgets and all these things. But now I'm not using a template. I will create from scratch. Standard page size is 190, 1920 times 1080 pixels. So this is ultra high definition, I think, UHD, but it could be 4K or 8K or even more. It's just a question of user defined. It's unlimited almost. But if you want to create a 4K visualization, is this, and 8K visualization is this. So there's a lot of possibilities, but by default, normally we create this because also the visualization has a zoom, so it can be adapted to any kind of screen. The only question is to respect the length times height reference. Okay, so this is a relationship between length and height has to be respected. If you need to create another adaptation, it's possible to create a copy of and then try to adapt it. Sorry. So now we are prompted again to connect to the server. I will say, okay, you win. I select local connection, and then I have to log in to demonstrate that I have enough permissions. Admin changed me to demonstrate that I am a super admin. So the first thing to create is a page. So let's say init. And again, well, we will see tomorrow what is a widget designer page. Okay, that's to create a sort of block of elements, graphical elements that can be prompted graphically, like a pop-up or whatever. So this is a widget. Color of the page, the size of the page, etc. There is a library, 3D HBAC library. If you are going to create a page for this kind of elements, graphical elements, it has to be defined this because it has like a 3D aspect and all these things. Home page, obligatory. The first page is the home page. If you create more pages, it can be changed. Okay, and standby page is okay. I can define another page to be like the default page you see when you don't touch the visualization for a specific time. But this is the delay that you can select here. And also you can create master pages, for example, with a menu. The menu has to be seen in many pages. So I create this once, I define this as a master page, and then I refer the others to use this master page. So it's very powerful, but to create a single page, just press init. And then you can see we have a lot of different windows. So this is the aim of this. I will restore panel positions to show you all these windows. This is the aim of this last 10 minutes to show you. Important. First is our view, our designing view. This is my page, and this page is adapting the size to the size I can offer. If I move the windows, it's also adapting to these windows. So it's interesting that we can adapt. Second thing is that we can open other views. If you have other pages, you can do edit. You can edit 2 or even 3 pages at the same time. You can working edition in all these pages at the same time. In edition mode, also in runtime, for example. So as we only have one page, it makes no sense. The zoom could be automatic, or maybe you can define a specific size for your page, fixed size, but makes sense to use the zoom. Okay, and then we start working with elements like layers, for example. No? We have only 2 layers created by default. One is default, and other is background. And you see these elements like a switch or an eye, and also you can see yellow and green. Well, what means yellow means edition. Green means runtime. Okay. Runtime means when you are looking the visualization as a user. What means the lock? It means if it's editable or not. So you can see the lock is open, is editable. This layer is editable, in this case, in runtime and in the edition, yellow and green. And it's visible also. In the eye means visible. And in background, for example, if you define some element in background and you have the lock closed or with this red cross, this means that you cannot edit this element, or you cannot edit even in runtime. That is also logic. Makes sense. These characteristics of the layers can be changed because we have this window for the layers, and you can, for example, select this option for the background to be able to edit in edition mode this. So now here it's not showing me. No, now yes. Now yes, it's showing me that the lock is open, for example, but we can again. I'm sorry, I have to unselect. I was thinking what I'm doing wrong. Okay, so I have to unselect. Okay, so this is the explanation about layers. You can create any kind of layer, and this flag means which is the layer that you are using. When you include an element, you will include it in default, for example. Okay, another window. Well, back system message. It's okay. I will close this. And another important window is the variables. I will deal about variables tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the time to talk about variables. It will be really interesting. Groups also are interesting. You can create a specific amount of elements and combine all together in a specific widget, for example, and then make it a pop-up element. That's also interesting. We will see also. The object tree is, well, sometimes it's interesting to see all the things that you have, the pages and elements that you have inside. Item tree, we are connected to my server, so you will see my aliases are here, for example. That is really nice to see all my aliases here, but also when you insert whatever element, you will see also here. So there are a lot of windows, but the most important is my page to edit and my object catalog, of course. So I need something to put inside my page. So we have an object catalog that you can see here with different categories. A general category, the typical things that, for example, we can create a background image. So this is an image. If I edit, double click, I can, of course, select a picture. So let me go, for example, here and select a picture like this. We can share these pictures afterwards, but of course the size and the position is not good, so it should be placed in this corner. That's okay. This is what it means, top and left, zero reference, but size is also important. That's better. But as the layer is default, I can move it. If I just do this, it's moving. It's not good. It has to be locked. So double click. I will put this in background. So now I cannot move it. It's fixed. That's, for example, how to include an image here. Of course, we have labels like to put a text. This is a label that can be a text, and my appearance is ABB Hotel with a font, whatever font, but if you select auto size, it's adapting to the size of the label. Okay. For example, but these labels can also represent whatever. For example, I want to put here the external temperature we have. Okay, we can do it. Instead of text, can be an indicator, so I can select an OPC item ID. Here I have my item ID, my item tree, and I remember that my HTTP is giving me a temperature, so this is good. No scale factor. Okay, no problem. But maybe I can say, okay, if the value is higher than 21, it is out of my limits, for example, or less than 0. So the tag will be a different way. Instead of transparent and in black color, it will be a red. The rectangle will be red, and with yellow color the text, for example. So you can define limits for this. So it's very nice because you can see special values with out of range, we can say, with this definition. And this is defined here. You don't need a logic to do this. It's done by your BMS. And then the appearance, okay. We can create a format for the text. For example, to say outside temperature is, and then a format. Format is open a key, 0 to points. This is like saying I will give you a format, and format can be, for example, 2 decimals. Okay, so 0 dot hash. 0 is exactly this value and 2 decimals. If I close the key, I say Celsius degrees, and this is the format. It's nothing more than this. And I say this, and this is okay, background and color for false value. I was telling you, please, yellow. So let's check what is the value. I can check in runtime playing start here. So this is possible also. You are editing, but it's possible to see in outside. But it's less than 20, so outside temperature is, and you see the value here. That's fantastic. Okay. You can format whatever. If you want to see if the tag is working fine, let me say that maximum value is 17. So what happens if I start? Should be red rectangle with yellow color. Ta-da! So it's working fine. Okay. So this is nice. And then, of course, whatever element that you may need, it's a button, for example, for whatever control. I will now do an example, but different buttons, link area to trigger, jump to another page, for example, typical, an internet to show whatever URL, like a camera, for example. Multi-picture is really interesting because multi-picture can show different pictures depending on the value, like a shutter going down, or a light with more or less brightness. You can create your own multi-pictures. Multi-text is the same. Imagine a CO2 level, and you have the value in numbers, but you want to indicate that this value is good in green color, or not so good in yellow, or bad in red color. So this is possible with multi-text, for example, multi-internet to show different cameras, for example, a combo box to select values, for example, select the HVAC mode, comfort, standby, eco, protection. So it's like the drop-down list. This is the combo box. A polygon, this is like a link area, but with a special shape, a polyline, or a widget that you can define outside. So this is main general object catalog is really nice. Functional elements like a clock or a RGB control. So well, these are classical elements. We can say it's interesting. Just a button, that can works like, okay, let me put a button, or maybe a bit smaller, like this, and just put on off of a light. Central off, for example. Central off for the first room. Just drag and drop. So if I say double click, you can see that drag and drop is here, this value. Room, whatever, central off. Okay, true and false. Send and receive this value. So if I say okay and show you the camera and put in runtime, you will see that this button is turning on and off the lights of this. It's very simple. On and off. Okay. And like this, a lot of sliders, for example, to work with sliders, metering gauges, of course, a lot of libraries. So we have a lot of libraries, for example, with metering displays, buttons, 100 buttons with 20 different colors. And this part is going to be reviewed and improved. So it's also interesting to see that we have a lot of things, but we will improve it. Several buttons and examples for hotels or whatever, but we will include many more. HVAC 3D elements, you have a lot also. So tomorrow we will see many other examples about the visualization using variables. So we are now finishing for today. So it has been fantastic to share all these 3 sessions to you. But time is over. So tomorrow we will continue. with this. I hope you have enjoyed these explanations and all the examples we have shown to you, and hope that this can be useful for you in your projects. So thanks so much, Blanca.
O- Okay, thank you, Julio, for the excellent session today. As usual, let's go back to the participants. If they have some questions, uh, I'll put everyone,
Yeah, some
allow everybody to unmute.
Bion Huyo is asking if I can share if Mr. Lee after the session show some screen maybe for some questions, but
Mhm.
we have to wait until all the rest of the colleagues are out of the session. So or maybe I don't know the reason why. Maybe they want to show some specific visualization. I don't know the reason.
Okay, okay.
So maybe
Noted. Yes, we can do that. For now, I think everyone is unmuted. Means you can unmute your microphone and ask a question, or put your question in the chat box. Whatever is comfortable for you.
Mhm.
We are here for some more minutes.
But I can make presenter Mr. Lee so he can share
Yes.
now is
Okay.
he can share the screen now. So
Okay.
I think it was the question.
Okay. Sure. Mr. Lee, you
So
can share your screen.
and ask your question about.
Yes.
Let me stop the recording because this is not interesting
Sure.
for the video. So.